This is the civil engineer group. What do civil engineers do? Civil engineers are responsible for constructing, improving, and protecting immediate environments such as roads, bridges, buildings, airports, tunnels, dams, and other infrastructure. Who do civil engineers work with? They work with architects, designers, contractors, other engineers, sketchers, planners, surveyors, construction managers, technicians, technologists. Who do civil engineers answer to? Usually they answer to whoever the manager of the project or whoever is the head of the firm. How would you get this job? So civil engineers need a bachelor degree in civil engineering. It's one of its specialties, or in civil engineering technology. Graduate degree and license for promotion to senior positions, and they usually have to have a license to do work for the public. So getting the license, they have to work under a professional engineer for at least 4 years, pass 2 intensive exams, and earn a license from the state's licensure board.
Requirements in Missouri for licenses. A Bachelor of Science degree in engineering accredited by the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology. And usually Missouri requires, I'm pretty sure they're one of the few states that require that they pass the NCEES Fundamentals of Engineering exam. What interest types and personality traits work well? Personality traits that fit well for an engineer are creativity, leadership, having critical thinking skills, communication skills, being investigative, being realistic, and being conventional. Personality traits that don't fit well are being bad at talking with others, being selfish, closed-minded, or overconfident. Other jobs you can get with the civil engineering qualifications, you can get other engineering jobs, you can get surveyors, you could be a construction manager, a computer-aided design technician, you could be any kind of planner, and you can be a construction estimator. There are 8 grades in the corporate ladder of engineers. Grades 1 through 3 usually are engineers in training and have up to 3 years experience, as well as an engineering bachelor's degree. Grade 4 engineers get to be civil engineers and associate engineers out of training, and usually have master's degrees and more than 4 years experience, as well as professional engineer licenses. A grade 5 engineer is pretty much the same thing, but they move up to senior engineers and project managers, and they're just a little bit higher up and have at least 8 years experience with the same educational and license qualifications. Grade 6 engineers is when you move up to a principal engineer or district engineer. You have the same education as grade 4, but they'll have more than 10 years of experience and can also have advanced certifications and specialties. Grade 7 and 8 engineers have higher up titles like directors and city engineers, and have over 15 years to 20 years experience and can be recognized as experts in statewide and nationwide activities and help them in organizations as resources. The grades are more general because you won't just automatically move up. You have to compete for every rank you get, but sometimes you get graded up and sometimes you don't. Our mentor said the best way to make a career advancement in this field is to be passionate about what you're doing and make yourself invaluable and worth more than the company could ask for, and you will move up faster. The grades are there, but the only real things that matter are if you're an engineer in training or a professional engineer recognized by the law.
All right, now for the value added by each civil engineer. So civil engineers are useful for kind of bringing the project into an idea and then putting it through and completing it. So for the firms, when they hire a civil engineer, the benefit they get is that they get to work on multiple projects at one time for civil engineers, and that the civil engineers are useful for multiple things throughout multiple projects and can collaborate with others, and generally that generates more money for the firm and work done. Now, there are about 304,310 civil engineers currently employed in the United States, but we're looking at Kansas City, and in the Kansas City area, there are 3,600 civil engineers employed. And when we looked on our sources of Indeed and whatnot, we found that 480 civil engineer jobs available in Kansas City. We put that up together, and we got 11.75% of jobs available for civil engineers in the Kansas City area. Now, for those people that will be hiring the civil engineers, the types of firms that will hire them will include other engineering firms, obviously, construction firms, construction places, whatever you want to call it, utility companies, railway companies, and waste management facilities. And here are just some of the firms at the bottom of the slide that will hire civil engineers in our area, like Wallace Engineering, Structural Consultants, and Alfred Bench. Now, demand. The employment per 1,000 for civil engineering in our Kansas City area is 3.54. That means that per 1,000 jobs in the area, there are 3.54 engineering jobs available. Now, civil engineers are mainly in the areas where there are cities and things going on, things being built. So as you can see on the map, the darker green areas are more focused on building and improving things where civil engineers will be needed. And you can really, it's kind of misleading because the darker green is the only spot that really matters where there's a high concentration, because it goes from 390 to 14,000. So the other types of greens are just really low numbers. Now, as for the wages, the mean salary for a civil engineer in the Kansas City area is $91,850 and an hourly of $44.16. And at the bottom corner, you can see the percentiles. And generally, unless you're like really good, you're probably not gonna be in the 90th or whatever. But probably the higher grades you get, you might be making more towards that. But generally, when you enter the field, you might be making more around the 10th until you move up. But around the blue areas is more where the higher the average is for the civil engineering jobs around America. Now, supply for civil engineers is pretty inelastic because it's hard to become one, and price changes don't really affect this career path too much. Like if you change the price or change the wages, the amount of people that will do the job will go up, but it won't go up a significant amount because it's hard to become a job, and it's more about passion when you're picking this. Demand is more inelastic the more you move to cities, because that's where civil engineers are needed, and that's where all the work is being done. So the more they're needed, the more they're being paid. So you move away from cities and you go to nowhere. Civil engineer is not bad work. As for the market trends, as we saw talking about, the better the economy is, the more things being built. So wherever it is good, it's always good for the civil engineers whenever economy is doing things and building buildings, basically. Estimated job growth is 7%, so that means that each year for 7% for civil engineers, the job will be increasing by 24,200 positions each year. And 7% is a pretty average amount to increase by, but that also means that there won't be a surplus of jobs, like it won't just be extra amount, it'll be a good steady supply. Now, why civil engineers leave the field? One of the biggest reasons that civil engineers leave the field is retirement, because the turnover rate isn't that high for this field. But other reasons that civil engineers might leave might be for better wages somewhere else, because everybody likes a little more money, better recognition somewhere else, because they really take respect in their work, and advancement opportunities, so they'll be able to move up in the firm somewhere else where they couldn't in the firm they were at. And our sources.